Good morning. I'm Chris Brown from Morgan's Financial. I'm here with André Labuschagne, the Managing Director, Chief Executive of Aeris Resources, a copper and gold producer and zinc producer in Australia. André, you've been at the Noosa Mining Conference now a few times. What's the mood like this year, do you think?
Look, I think I've been to many of these. It's probably the best I've seen. It's probably the conference is probably the biggest I've seen. And a lot of interest, a lot of people trying to understand the markets, understand commodities, understand what you got. So I think it's been very positive, actually.
I mean, the mood's positive, but share prices are still fairly lagging, aren't they? We haven't seen the real kick up there.
Look, if you think from a equities point of view and share price, everything is lagging. You struggle to see the link between where resource prices, for example, copper should be or should go to, and the lag in where the equities are. But when you run these companies, the price is what it's going to be. You've got to keep the long-term focus. You've got to realize where the value is going to come from, and shareholders will be there when at the right time.
André, your initial project was the Tritton Copper Mine in New South Wales. Can you tell us how that this stage? It's been operating now for a number of years. What's the outlook for it?
Look, Tritton, I'm now in this business for 10 years. We had Tritton from the beginning. 10 years ago, I said there's 4 years life, and 10 years later, I think I'm saying it's probably 6 or 7 or more years life. So it's just one of those assets. It's always grown. In the last 2 years, we've invested a lot of capital into it. So we started 2 new mines, the Avoca Tank mine and Jaguar, both significant better grades than what we've been mining in 22, 23. So FY23 we produced about 17,000 tons of copper, and then 24 will be significantly better because we're bringing those mines into production now. So for Tritton, where we're going to is improve grades, getting the volume up. And there is, of course, there's a deposit we discovered a few years ago called Constellation. It is the biggest deposit we have currently on the books. It's about 7 million tons at close to 2% copper. So the aim is how and when can we bring that into production, and then you'll see another lift in the profile. So Tritton is definitely the key asset currently in the business, with a lot of opportunity to increase production.
And your other producing asset, at least in Eastern Australia, is the Cracow Gold Mine.
So we bought Krakow 3 years ago now from Evolution. Very neat, tidy little gold mine, doing about 50,000 ounces of gold. It's never had more than 2 or 3 years in reserve. So it's just one of those assets. You keep drilling it, you keep finding it. And so this year we're lifting the tailings dam to get another 3 years of capacity. So we're confident with ongoing exploration, you'll keep finding more. And then from an exploration point of view, the southern part of the tenement package, highly prospective. So we're aiming to start to do a bit of drilling down south, because that's where we believe you can find the next Krakow, next big deposit, like a 1 million ounce deposit. So a lot of work going into that as well.
And when you acquired a little while ago Jaguar in Western Australia, that was very close to the end of its operating life, but there's been another resource discovery there.
Yes,
and what's happening with Jaguar?
So we bought the Round Oak assets from Washington Sulphats exactly 12 months ago, and one of the assets is the Jaguar copper zinc mine in WA. When we bought it on the premise that they discovered a new deposit called Turbo in the Bentley mine, and look, since then we doubled the resource. So we drilled it out. It's significantly larger. But what we've also now seen is there's also an old Jaguar underground mine, which is mined before. And when they discovered the Bentley mine, they literally walked away from stopes in the Jaguar mine to go and mine Bentley because it was better grades. So we're busy pumping that out. And the model we're working through strategically is, how do you increase the capacity of the mill, which we know currently we do about 500,000. How do you get it to 650 or 700 and then mine 2 deposits at the same time? When you run these base metal mines, volume is always the biggest value driver. So if we can bring Jag into production with Bentley at 600,000 tons, then there's a deposit called Triumph, which is already approved to be mined. You'll bring that in. And then you look at it, well, when we bought it, there was maybe 3 years life. When you look at all these other opportunities, there's significantly more life, and you can bring in better quality assets. We're just working through that model now, is how to ensure that you don't mine resources at a loss while you've got all this massive opportunity. So we're just working through all of that. But so Jaguar was one of the mines.
And André, before we move on to development projects, one of the issues producers are talking about is getting staff and a workforce, and getting good staff and a good workforce. How are you going manning it at Tritton and Krakow? And
Look, it's interesting. 6 months ago, we would have been looking for 100 people at any time. That has come down significantly in the last 3 months. So we've seen the workforce settling down and significant improvement in turnover. So in the last sort of 2 or 3 months, we've seen a great improvement in that. I think it's just the nature. Inflationary environment, people are a bit nervous about want to keep my job, do things, and so we've seen a big improvement.
So there's going to be steady as she goes news flow from the operations and expanding, increasing the resource base there. But you've got a development project in Victoria, which some people call Danistan, not me obviously. But what's happening with the Stockman project there?
So Stockman, we are in the process of finishing off the study. We will get it out in this quarter. We'll finish it off. It is a very good project. It's a 10 million ton, 3% copper equivalent recovered grades. Will be 2 underground mines, one bigger one smaller one, and about 1 million ton process plant. So we already got the mining lease approvals. We already got approval to do the tailings dam. So it's all the minor approvals we're going through, but it's also about just having a good look at what's the best setup for it. It's high up. It's up in OBO in high country, so it is power. Going through how power, logistics, and those sort of things. But the aim is to have it done and then take that then further into a definitive study and get it going. So our time frame is perhaps 18 months, 2 years to get that going. But the other side of it, I don't think there's necessarily this massive urgency to get it. In this market where inflation is where it is, and everyone who builds stuff it's challenging, you've got to pick your time as well.
André, thanks very much for your time and your comments. Thanks very much. It's been a very strong Noosa mining conference. Have a look at the website for some of the presentations. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.